Sometimes the person you almost gave up on becomes the one you can't imagine life without. In 2020, during a pandemic that had the world on pause, a Dominican film editor from Maryland was scrolling through Facebook dating with cautious optimism, while a Cameroonian content creator was doing the exact same thing with zero hope left. What happened next wasn't a fairy tale romance with instant sparks and perfect first dates. It was messy, awkward, and painfully real, and that's exactly why it worked. Tato was 33 years old, a Dominican and Caucasian mix from Maryland's East Coast who had spent years building his career as a designer and film editor. When the pandemic hit and the world slowed down, he suddenly found himself with time to think about what was missing from his life. That's when he decided to try Facebook dating, hoping maybe this time would be different. Across the country, Vera's story was unfolding in parallel, though her mindset couldn't have been more different. Born in Cameroon, she'd moved to Belgium at age 5, lived there for a decade, then spent time in Gambia before finally settling in the United States, where she worked as a content creator. She'd been on every dating app imaginable and had reached the point where she'd completely checked out emotionally. When she joined Facebook dating, it wasn't because she believed in it. She was just bored, and mindlessly swiping through profiles became something to do. Over 5,000 profiles had passed across her screen, and she'd become completely numb to the whole process. When Tato came across Vera's profile, something stopped him mid-scroll. It wasn't just that she was beautiful. There was something in her photos that showed depth, intelligence, a person behind the perfectly curated images. He could sense she was someone he could actually talk to, someone who'd understand his creative mind. For Vera, Tato's profile caught her attention because he worked in video production, which meant he might actually have something interesting to talk about beyond the usual shallow compliments. Maybe this one would be different. Maybe. Their initial conversations were anything but promising. Vera would take an entire day to respond to his messages, showing just enough interest to keep him hanging on, but maintaining enough distance to protect herself. Tato interpreted this as disinterest and started to panic. He asked for her phone number before she could disappear from the app entirely, which she surprisingly gave him. But even with direct access to text her, their conversations remained painfully awkward. She wasn't impressed, and she wasn't afraid to show it. The tension reached a breaking point when Tato decided to just ask directly if she was even interested in him anymore. Her response was brutally honest. She told him she wasn't ready to date again, that she'd been hurt too many times. Most guys would have either pushed back or walked away feeling rejected, but Tato did something unexpected. He told her he respected her decision completely and that he'd be in her corner as a friend regardless. Then he actually meant it and backed off. They stopped talking for nearly a month, existing only as social media connections who occasionally saw each other's posts. During this time, the Black Lives Matter movement was gaining momentum across America. Vera, scrolling through her social media feeds, started noticing Tato's posts. He wasn't just sharing articles or posting black squares. He was actually out there in the streets, participating in protests, using his platform to amplify black voices. This wasn't performative activism designed to look good online. This was genuine engagement with issues that mattered deeply to her as a black woman. But what really changed everything was when Vera discovered Tato was also following and actively engaging with African content creators. He appreciated African culture, showed genuine interest in learning about it, and wasn't treating it like some exotic curiosity. This cultural appreciation, combined with his social activism, made her see him through completely different eyes. Maybe she'd been too quick to write him off. The reconnection happened organically when Vera started liking some of his Instagram photos. Tato, recognizing this as a potential opening, reached out immediately with a simple message about taking her on a proper date now that pandemic restrictions were starting to ease. This time, Vera didn't take a full day to respond. She said yes. Before they could actually go on that date, life threw them an unexpected curveball. Tato had to undergo surgery, and suddenly this developing relationship faced its first real test. They weren't officially together, they'd barely reconnected, but Vera found herself genuinely worried about him during his recovery. Tato, stubborn and determined to keep creating content, was still making TikTok videos while recovering. moving around despite his stitches. Vera worried about him like she was already his girlfriend, scolding him for not taking it easy. They were bickering and caring for each other like an established couple before they'd even had their first date. July finally brought their first FaceTime calls, where they could see each other in real time. The chemistry was undeniable, crackling through the screen, but Vera remained cautiously optimistic. Their first in-person meeting was carefully planned as a safe public walk around a local lake. Tato was incredibly nervous about making a good impression, choosing his outfit carefully and worrying about sweating in the summer heat. Vera, true to her reserved nature, spent most of the date observing rather than talking. The awkwardness peaked when Tato, trying to bond over their shared interest in dance, suggested they dance together right there by the lake. In his mind, it would be a romantic moment. In reality, it became one of the most uncomfortable experiences of his life. He felt completely exposed and awkward, flailing around while people walked by. But somehow, this spectacular failure actually broke down the walls between them. Vera started laughing, genuinely relaxed for the first time all day, because she could see he was trying so hard, even though he was absolutely bombing. Their tennis dates became legendary for all the wrong reasons. Tato showed up fully equipped with brand new gear, confident in his past tennis abilities, and ready to impress. Reality hit hard when he discovered that years away from the court had seriously diminished his skills. Vera, who played competently, watched him struggle and found endless entertainment in his tennis disasters. She could have easily gotten bored and stopped showing up, but she kept coming back. Tato correctly interpreted this as a very positive sign. The first kiss almost destroyed everything before it truly began. After building up courage for weeks, Tato made the classic mistake of asking for permission instead of reading the moment. When he finally went for it, Vera's shocked reaction made him immediately think he'd been completely rejected. 5 full minutes of excruciating silence followed in his car, the tension so thick it was suffocating. Tato was mentally preparing himself for the end of whatever this was. Then Vera did something that surprised both of them. She asked him to kiss her again. That second kiss erased all the awkwardness of the first. Their official relationship status came about in the most casual way possible. After spending several consecutive days together and acting like they were already a couple, they had a phone conversation where Tato simply stated that he felt like she was already his girlfriend. When Vera pointed out that he hadn't officially asked her, he didn't see the need for some big formal declaration. The official date became July 26th, when Vera casually mentioned having a boyfriend during a conversation about her busy schedule, then tried to move on to another topic, like she hadn't just made their relationship official. From that moment forward, their relationship transformed into the content creation partnership their followers know today. The authentic chemistry they'd built on genuine connection, rather than superficial attraction, translated perfectly to their TikTok videos and live streams. They weren't just dating, they were building something together based on their real relationship dynamics. What makes their story worth telling is how it defies everything modern dating culture tells us relationships should look like. In an era obsessed with instant chemistry and perfect first impressions, they took months to actually get to know each other. Vera's initial disinterest wasn't some dating strategy, it was genuine caution born from real disappointment. Tato's persistence wasn't about refusing to take no for an answer. It was patient interest combined with complete respect for her boundaries. When she said she wasn't ready, he backed off. When she changed her mind, he was still there. If you enjoyed hearing about this authentic love story, go ahead and hit that like button. Drop a comment sharing your own awkward dating stories, and subscribe so you never miss our latest content. We're building a community of people who believe in authentic connections, and we'd love to have you be part of it.